All right, so yeah, all these like crazy lines. That's no good. We want
That's
to.
not what we want.
No, not at all. So I kind of want to get myself in like the -12 range.
Okay.
Where
You look like you're not, or I'm not passing. Oh, now I'm passing by
Yeah.
-12.
probably. So yeah, just tell me what you had for breakfast.
Well, today I got up around 9 and I ended up making some fried mushrooms and onions. Then I cracked 2 eggs onto the same pan, and
Did you use a cast iron pan?
I didn't. I used a Teflon non-stick pan,
Nice.
which was
Did you have to use butter or oil for that?
I put some butter in with the mushrooms.
Okay.
I didn't put any butter on when I put the eggs on, but I put some
Nice.
butter. Oh, and I
That's
chopped up garlic.
It's a bold move. I don't trust non-stick pans for some reason. Like, I've always been like literally burned by them. Like, my food is like always just like burnt and stuck to it. That I'm just like, wow.
This one works. These are probably the best non-stick pans I've used. They're just like really light, and you make the food, and there's nothing left on the pan at all. And
See,
you just
that's what I
wash
need
'em.
in a non-stick pan.
Yeah,
Okay.
much better. I do like cast iron though,
Okay. Well, good.
but not for cleaning.
Are you okay with having your pan preference on the record?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So when we're doing the interview, I'm just gonna have you kind of, it'll be kind of awkward, but you just have to like pick a spot where you want to be and kind of stay there, because if you move in and out, it's gonna like really affect the levels.
I see. So I'll
So, yeah.
kind of be
Honestly, like, yeah, you can like,
this kind of.
yeah, you can angle it so that like it is facing you, and then
This seems like a good spot for me to
Okay.
talk.
sweet, yeah,
This is gonna be where I'll be talking.
okay.
I like pans.
Okay. I think I am good. Now, do you put any seasoning in your mushrooms, or do you just the garlic?
I did put after I'd cooked them and put them onto the plate. I put a little salt, pepper, and then some tagine seasoning sauce or salt on it, which was really tasty. And then I put a bunch of greens as well, and I toasted 2 pieces of toast.
You're amazing.
It was
Wow.
it was a tasty breakfast.
I'll say my mouth is watering. All right. Let's get started. Why don't you just introduce yourself for the record?
Okay.
Tell us about yourself as much as you want. Yeah.
My name is Ray Lomas. I'm a third-year student at UVic, which I love. I'm currently studying physics, and I really like the outdoors and the sky and the ocean. Basically everything to do with nature.
Great. So just to get started, I guess, tell me, when did you first hear about UVic Confessions?
I first heard about UVic Confessions in my first year, which I guess was just over 2 years ago. And I think I just followed them on Facebook because lots of my friends were doing that. And they said, there's some funny content here.
Yeah, so what did you think about it?
To be honest, I don't spend a lot of time scrolling through, but whenever I saw it, I would always read the posts, like when they came up in my newsfeed, and some of them were quite interesting, and I would kind of try and guess if I knew the person.
Okay.
Could never evaluate that guess, like see if it was correct, but
Right, it's so hard to like, yeah, like you honestly just have to ask someone, did you do it? And like if they say no, like you're like, well, this is a dead end.
Exactly. I usually just hypothesized in my mind. Some of them posts I found to be somewhat fake seeming, like
Right.
kind of just want a reaction.
Right, like they were doing it for the sole purpose of, drama.
Exactly.
Okay. And does that bother you?
It's kind of annoying. Sometimes, like, I'll be reading it and just my eyes are kind of going wide because I'm shocked people are thinking this way. But then I kind of zone back in and I'm like, okay, this is obviously someone is trying to bait people who would comment a bunch of
Right.
stuff.
It's like a weird anonymous. Well, yeah, that's what trolling is, right?
Exactly. It's just
Yeah.
trolling on the internet.
Yeah. All right. Um, so you started just kind of browsing it haphazardly, and then one day your friend tags you in a post. Tell me about that experience.
Okay, so I was just having a regular day on campus when I looked at my computer and I had been tagged by my good friend in a post on UVic Confessions. And I was kind of shocked because I didn't know they really looked at posts on UVic Confessions either. So I looked at the post, and it was a post that was very related to me. I would have thought of myself if I had read the post.
You approved the tagging.
I have definitely approved the tagging. Should I say what the post is? I guess I probably should.
Yeah. Tell us about the post.
So the post was someone was looking for a quote cute boy in physics who loves nature, unquote. And as I had described earlier, I am in physics and I love physics and I love nature.
You're the perfect
And
person.
maybe I'm cute. I don't know. And so I looked and I had been tagged in it and kind of laughed to myself, and that was that.
All right. So what happens next? Like, did you ever think about the post in terms of like if anything would come of it? Did you have expectations, hopes, fears, or it was just kind of like it was a funny moment and you moved past it?
I did kind of have some hopes that maybe a charming, cute young lady in physics would get in contact with me and perhaps we would start courting. And this is actually what happened. I think the very same day, actually, I received a message from someone who was not my friend on Facebook. And this someone said, "This is a little weird, but one of your friends tagged you in a post that I made in UVic Confessions. And I was wondering if you wanted to go on a date with me."
And how did that make you feel when you got that message?
That made me feel good. I was like, oh my, someone wants to go on a date with me. I was assuming this someone had stalked my Facebook page
Right.
and approved of my content. So that made me feel good as well.
Right. You've been like validated.
Exactly. And so I thought I should return the favor and stalk her page.
Okay. And what did you see?
I saw a beautiful girl who it seemed liked the outdoors. There was pictures of her backpacking, and I love backpacking. So I thought maybe we would have some things in common.
Okay. And did she like physics?
And she did not. I couldn't tell from her page if she liked physics.
Okay.
But I was assuming she liked physics
Okay.
from making the status.
And where did this conversation lead?
So I replied to the initial message with, "Yes, that sounds great. I would love to get together with you and see if what will come of it."
Okay. And so I guess you organized some kind of date.
Yes, we did.
What was the plan for the date?
So the plan was to go on an adventure that we spontaneously created. So we met at a classic coffee shop
Okay.
date, and
You guys just got coffee?
we just got coffee,
Okay.
and we drank it and chatted. It was initially a little awkward because of the way we'd met, and we really just talked about physics, and
So she did like physics.
she did like physics. Turns out she's also in physics.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was neat to know. We could bond over some of the same teachers. And We talked about nature and kind of got the whole backstories of each other's lives as short as we made it. It was
Yeah. So I guess tell me a bit about like what's going through your head as like you're walking to the coffee shop. Like
mm,
again, like did you have like hopes, expectations? Were you like nervous, excited? Like
um I was actually a little out of breath because I had missed the bus
oh no.
and didn't want to be late. So I had been running to another bus, and that let me off somewhere not as close. So I ended up running really quickly to the coffee shop. Turned out I made it with a few minutes to spare.
Nice. You can
And
compose yourself.
exactly. And she wasn't actually there yet. So
Okay.
I kind of sat on the curb outside the coffee shop
Just
and just calmed
enjoying
down.
enjoying nature.
Exactly. It was nice cement. I did a bit of people watching. It was funny because I had only seen her from her Facebook profile.
Right.
So I was
And those can be kind of misleading.
very. So I was not sure if this person walking was going to be her or. And it was a weekend and a busy day. So there was lots of people that was like, that could be her.
Okay, so you guys go on this date and tell me a bit about like how you feel about the date, kind of like looking back on it. Do you feel like it was like was there a connection there? Was there not a connection there?
Okay. Well, maybe I'll just. We also, after had coffee, we ended up walking to the ocean
Okay.
and talking a bit more and climbed on some rocks and just ran around a little bit. I ran around. I don't think she did. I was feeling pretty good that day because I got a lot of stuff done the previous day and was kind of in a free mood. Um, but I during it, like within the first hour or so, I kind of knew that there wasn't really a connection.
Right. You made the call kind of like pretty early on.
Yeah, and I thought I'll just play it out and see how the rest of it goes, but I knew I would be going home pretty early.
Right. I guess do you kind of romanticize about like blind dates or like, like internet curated kind of like romances? Were you kind of like enamored by the idea of like having a connection or like potentially meeting someone like online through like this weird quirky way?
Um, I would say more. I'm more of a like. I would prefer to bump into someone and kind of meet them that way as opposed to online. But it still is a good feeling, and like there is an air of excitement to be had when you don't know what it could be, and you have someone that you think is interested in you, and you're going out to try and see what becomes of hanging out for the first time. So there was a romanticized air about it I definitely was feeling.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like eventually, do you think the anonymity of it kind of like ruined it by like expectations being too high, or do you think it just kind of was like a natural like kind of disinterest in it after a while?
That's a very good question. I think um, we just didn't have as much in common as we thought based on physics and nature, which I guess is kind of broad. But she was a little younger than I was, and I think that played a big role in it.
Mm-hmm.
I, I just felt like I was kind of probably not the best thing to do, but I was like comparing it to other people I knew in my life and wanting to nurture other relationships as opposed to continuing on with a new relationship that would take a lot of time.
Right. So it's always kind of tricky, I guess. Yeah, you're always comparing something to other things that like you have like a kind of a grasp of.
Yeah, and I mean it's not always great to be comparing, especially in the moment, but I definitely learned some things from the experience, and we always say hi to each other when we see each other on campus and stuff. And
You
I
still see her occasionally.
occasionally, yeah, we don't have any classes or anything together, but I've seen her, I think, 3 or 4 times on campus.
Cool. So I guess just to backtrack a little bit, tell me about how did the date end? You guys go to the beach, you climb on some rocks, do some running around.
So we're at the beach running around. I love to beachcomb, so I had found a really cool shell that had a hole in it, and that was where the date got the most romantic. Um, she thought perhaps I could use that holed shell as hair elastic, potentially. And so she tried to put my hair in this shell with a hole in it. Didn't work. That was, yeah, that was like the most flirty, romantic part of the date, I think. We were laughing, and I ended up putting the the shell with the hole in it on a beautiful driftwood stick I found, and kind of making a little magic wand out of it, which I still have, actually. It's a really beautiful piece of art. And sorry, I'm losing track.
No, this is all great.
So, and oh yeah, so how the date ended was the question. So we were there and we did that, and and then I tied some bull kelp seaweed onto that and had made kind of like a cowboy whip type thing, which I was feeling Indiana Joe-ish a bit, and kind of played with that for actually quite a while.
What was she doing while you were like doing all this stuff?
She was kind of like watching the ocean. I was kind of adventuring farther on the rocks than I think she felt comfortable doing.
So you guys almost like slowly drifted away as the date progressed, like both emotion figuratively and literally.
Yeah, we were still within 20 feet of each other for most of it, but there wasn't a lot of talking that was happening. We were kind of just doing our own thing on the beach, and I love birds as a part of nature. I love birds, so I did a lot of birding, and we saw a lot of hummingbirds that day.
Oh wow.
So yeah, she quite liked that. There was so many hummingbirds. I usually see a few hummingbirds every day, but there was probably 20 hummingbirds that we saw this day.
Okay.
Which was neat. So I was almost more infatuated with the birds
than her
for it. And so then it was getting a little bit late, and I had some other plans that I wanted to partake in later that day. So I said I was going to head home, and we ended up walking for about 40 minutes to catch the bus. And the bus didn't come for a while once we got to the stop. So we ended up just doing handstands for about 10 or 15 minutes. And it was really, really quite fun. It was a little muddy on the grass, so I kept falling and getting mud on my back. And she thought that was really funny. And we just, did more handstands.
What did you guys talk about when you were walking for 40 minutes? Was there kind of a rhythm between your conversation, or?
Yeah, we did have some good conversations, mostly about what we'd done during the summer, or
it was kind of just like small talk, catching up kind of thing.
Yeah. We the conversation flowed throughout the whole time, and I was definitely interested in what she was sharing with me, and she was interested in what I was saying. So there was good questions being asked, and kind of talked about different backpacking adventures we'd been on, some of which had been in the same areas, which was cool. Mm-hmm. So we realized we did have some things in common.
Right, more than just physics and nature.
Yeah, although maybe hiking is nature. I don't know.
Depends. I'm not a nature expert.
Nor am I.
All right, so you guys, the bus finally shows up.
Yep. And we took the bus, and I pointed out an old house I used to live in. She laughed, and then I got off the bus, and I ended up calling my parents, actually.
Yeah, what did you say to them?
I just said I was coming back from the beach. They had actually called me previously while I was on the date, so I was just returning the call, and ended up just chatting with them for about 45 minutes as I walked home for 15 minutes from the bus while chatting with them, and then did loops around my house continuously chatting.
Did you tell them about the date you had been on and the circumstances that led to it?
I didn't, actually.
Do they know about it to this day?
They do know about it since yesterday.
Okay, and what did they think about it?
I was telling them about it as a prelude to me doing this interview. So they thought, oh, that's great, and asked if I liked her or what became of it and how it was. And yeah, they thought it was great that I was going out with a girl.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad.
That's what I said. They said, do what you feel is right in the circumstance.
Do they have any opinions on like the anonymity of like the page or anything?
No, I don't know. They thought it was pretty funny, but as soon as I told them what the post had said, they were like, "Oh yes, we would definitely think of you as that." So it was they understood why my friend had tagged me in it.
Right. It was justifiable across all boards.
Yes.
Approval from everyone, from the whole Ray family.
Exactly. All of us low masses.
Okay, so you went on the date, and then I guess you got off and she kept going?
Yeah, she lived farther down the road, I guess. I don't actually know where she lives, but it worked out well that we could both take the same bus in the same direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I just had got off earlier, and I'm assuming she did go home. I don't know what she did later that evening, but
you don't have to speculate.
But then there was a follow-up message that she sent me later.
Later that day?
Later, I believe it was later that day. And she just said that she had had a lot of fun and would love to hang out again.
And how did you respond to that?
And I said, yes, I also had a lot of fun and would love to hang out again.
Did you guys hang out again?
We didn't. I honestly didn't actually want to hang out again. But I said it maybe to, like, be nice, which is not necessarily being nice, as I look at it. But I felt like it was the thing to say. We were both also busy with school at the time, so she suggested the next weekend, which it turned out I was off the island for. So I said maybe the next weekend after that. And she messaged me after that first weekend asking about the next weekend. And I said I couldn't hang out. And she said, okay, maybe next time. And I didn't reply to that. And that's the last correspondence we've had.
Wow. That's, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of expectations from those posts. And they don't always work out, kind of thing. And maybe it is just like the pressure of kind of making these quirky, awkward romances work, but I feel like they're just, they're as vulnerable to like those kinds of pitfalls as like normal romances are.
Yes, I agree. And I hope that some of these, I feel like this is not an uncommon occurrence for this page, and I hope that some of them do work out and maybe they've found their soulmates from UVic Confessions and Crushes.
Okay, so you had this experience. Do you still go on the page from time to time? Do you ever look at it?
I do as it pops up in my news feed.
Yeah.
I think the ones that tend to pop up in my news feed are like ones with many likes and many comments.
Right, the more popular ones.
Yeah, as the Facebook algorithms work. So I usually will just read over them, but I don't really delve into the comments, or I've never commented on any statuses or liked them from UVic Confessions and Crushes, but some of them I find very relatable. I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I can really relate to some of them, so I appreciate those ones.
Right. And I guess kind of moving forward, how do you feel like the page has changed over time since like your date? Do you feel like there are more romance kind of inquiries? Do you think it's shifted more from crushes to confessions, or like vice versa?
That's a good question. I think that I've seen less crushes per se on, and more kind of like, I guess, confessions, like people saying, I like doing this and what should I do about it? There seems to be lots of like people asking for advice based on scenarios in their life, which could be cool.
Okay.
If they get the advice they need.
All right. And my last question is, would you ever go on another kind of anonymous confession date? Would you do it again?
I think I would.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think you never know who the person is going to be, and we could really hit it off and be very happy together. So I think I would do it again.
Okay. Thanks so much for your time, Ray.
No problem. Thanks for having me on the air.